When it comes to kart racers are essentially what kids, teenagers, and adults love this type of racing games, as they as kart racers have battle modes alongside with items or fantasy weapons, if you might call them. Kart racers with battle modes can also be great. Battle modes for kart racing games are deathmatch battles influenced by the characters, go-karts, and weapons used in the mode. The Mario Kart series demonstrates how this mode would be played out in its previous installments, and to our surprise, it's still fun regardless to this day. Kart racers have very basic skill. You need to master. Try to use items strategically and make sure to time them well, so that way you don't want to be hit by an insane chain of attacks. But now we need to talk about we need to talk about we need to talk about another kart racer that took heavy inspiration from Mario Kart. This being Nick Kart Racers or Nickelodeon Kart Racers, the series, which is from 2018 to 2022 of present day, a crossover branded kart racer. Nickelodeon Kart Racers is a racing game developed by Bamtan Games and would be published by Game Mill Entertainment in North America and Maximum Games in the European country. The game would feature Nickelodeon characters in a crossover. This would include SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and other cartoons under the Nicktoons banner. Now, before we need to talk about what Nickelodeon Kart Racers is today, we need to go all the way back to during the PlayStation 1 era. Before Nickelodeon Kart Racers, there was the Nicktoons Kart Racers. Yes, there was Nickelodeon previously made a kart racing game even way before even way before, or called Nicktoons Racing. This is a 2001 game developed for the PlayStation 1, and it featured the older Nickelodeon cartoon characters. Though it is quite limited though. But nonetheless, I never played it, but I did look at the but I didn't look at how the graphics look. I mean, the graphics seemed pretty by the standard, by the numbers, and also the items, in my opinion, are kind of a little limited, but still fine nonetheless. I mean, you have some Nickelodeon characters being seen from older Nickelodeon cartoons. This would be from Infogrammers, and in association with a developer called Creations, I think. And also, Nicktoons Racing has a little intro. Not bad. Not bad at all. This was basically with Super Mario Kart's population. Other companies want to cash in on those players. So, and Nicktoons Racing is one of them. I'm completely unaware about it. I don't know about the reception though. I bet the reception for the game isn't pretty warm. And yeah, 3 out of 10. Several years after releasing Nicktoons Racing for different consoles and platforms, the last version is an arcade adaptation released in 2003. And Nicktoons Winners Cup Racing was released for the PC in February 2006. In 2008, a third Nicktoons racing game was put into production and was released in 2009 as Nicktoons Nitro, exclusively for arcades. It would be the last of the Nicktoons racing games for a long time. Now I also hear that it also made its way onto PC again. Nicktoons Racing made its way to PC. Now this would not be the end of the kart racing for the Nicktoons characters as in as in 2000 as in July of 2018 it would be announced that Nickelodeon Kart racers would come to consoles, marking the first time that Nickelodeon will be dipping their toes back into the kart racing genre since the last time. So they had Game Mill Entertainment. Nickelodeon had gave the Nicktoons license to Game Mill, and Game Mill Entertainment is looking for a developer, and they had a developer in mind, Bamtan Games. I don't know about much about Bamtan Games though, but I think they might be promising though. Bamtan Games did have some jobs when it comes to certain games. They make great games from scratch. I'm sure you probably recognize the studio behind. I'm sure you recognize them as the studio behind Captain Marvel, Galactic Fighter, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Attack of the Robots, Saban's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle, Thor's Boss Battles, Avatar: The Last Airbender Quest for Balance, DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing, and Looney Tunes Wacky World of Sports. Yes, they made a Looney Tunes game. Ironic. Very, 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 very ironic. Now, for the gameplay of Nickelodeon Kart Racers 1, it features a selection of 12 playable characters from the Nicktoons universe: SpongeBob, Hey Arnold, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and Rugrats. 24 courses and 8 arenas based on different locations from the shows are included in the game. It also has a team-based co-op mode, where 2 players can use a hammer to stop every other team and get an advantage. The karts can be customized, and power-ups can be picked up from the courses. Kart parts, tires, engines, spoilers, jet skis, and paint jobs can be purchased using coins from the courses. This is somehow like Mario Kart 7, but a little bit different. Courses that entirely consist of slime, including slime and elimination modes. We have only playable characters in the first game: Angelica Pickles, Arnold Shortman, Donatello, Helga, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Patrick Star, Raphael, Reptar, Sandy Cheeks, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Tommy Pickles. The game received generally unfavorable reviews, according to all platform, according to reviewer, or according to the Metacritic website. None, none of only the Xbox One version had score 49 out of 100. The PS4 and Switch versions 41 and 42. Nintendo Life gave the game a 3 out of 10 for criticizing it for the roster size, which only consists of 2 to 4 characters from 4 different shows, while lacking characters from other popular Nickelodeon shows. They also criticized for the lack of voice acting. PlayStation Lifestyle gave the game a slightly higher score, 5.5 out of 10. Though it is a pretty solid good racing game, but the poor visuals and botched battle mode leave plenty to be desired. If you accept the game for what it is, there's definitely some fun to be had, but its shortcomings are jarring enough to require some substantial blinders. Mine to know that Bantam Games had used the Vector engine. Vector Unit's Vector engine. Before they would switch engines. More on that in a minute. By 2020, 2 years ago, Nickelodeon, Bantam Games, and Game Mill Entertainment, who were not happy with the negative feedback they received, decided to make a sequel to the kart racing game, and decided to try to improve it. And hopefully it will not be generally unfavorable, actually. There was some anticipation for Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix. It features a selection of 30 playable racers, consisting of characters from 12 different Nicktoons, and real-life actress as JoJo Siwa. Each character has different gameplay statistics, such as top speed and handling, which can be unlocked, which further can be altered by customizing their kart with different unlockable vehicle parts. There are also $70 playable pit crew characters based on these shows, made up of 20 chiefs and 50 crew, with players able to equip 1 chief and 2 crew members before each race. Chief characters will give the player an additional ability they can activate at any time during the race, such as a sudden speed boost on temporary shield. Each use requires players to first fill a slime meter by driving through slime or collecting slime tokens scattered along the track. Crew characters grant abilities that can automatically be activated under specific circumstances, such as giving a player a speed boost after they are struck by an item or obstacle, or collecting only a specific item from item containers. Once used, these abilities have a cooldown period and cannot be activated again until a certain amount of time has passed. The track roster now includes 28 racetracks based around different locations from the represented shows, including 4 remastered tracks from the first game, and 2 battle arenas based on Double Dare and the Kids' Choice Awards were added. Each track features slime sources to recharge chief abilities, speed boosters to gain an extra burst of speed, containers with items that could be used to hinder opponents, and shortcuts were also still in the game. name of the sequel, which often requires much skill play to access. Players can also trigger additional speed boosts during the race by constantly drifting around turns or performing tricks when launching off jumps. Players can choose between four speed classes for races ranging from slow to insane. This is Nickelodeon's version of Mario Kart's engine class: 50cc, 100cc, and 150cc. The game features a single player Grand Prix mode, which challenges players to complete sequences of four races with the highest overall rank. A time trial mode for players to complete a lap on each track in the shortest time possible, and a challenge mode consisting of 42 preset scenarios which the player must complete. Players can unlock new characters, pit crew, and vehicle parts by winning every Grand Prix in each speed class and completing every challenge. Additional vehicle parts can be purchased from the in-game garage by spending slime tokens obtained through races. A total of 80 vehicle parts can be unlocked. The game supports up to local multiplayer, as well as online multiplayer, a feature that was not in its predecessor. The character roster has been expanded with some of the returning characters alongside with new incomers. There's Heifer, Lucy Loud, Lincoln Loud, Shredder, Squidward Tentacles, Stimpy, and more. Glad they went up. Glad they went up to. Glad they expanded the character selection. No, it's it's so glad, very glad. During development, Nick Kart Racers 2 was leaked by Target on June 10th, 2020, and was announced the next year. A trailer for the game was released the same day as its announcement. A simplified mobile version, developed by Kung Fu Factory, was released under the name just Nickelodeon Kart Racers. Unlike the console versions, it incorporates free-to-play elements and utilizes motion and touch controls. The sequel now received mixed scores. Some people praised the character roster to expand a little. Those scores were constantly higher than those of its predecessors. Nintendo Life called it everything the original game should have been, and stated that it will appeal far more to Nickelodeon fans, new and old. But they did criticize the lack of voice acting still. Oh yeah. Still lacking of voice acting. That's one thing. Since Game Mail was actually impressed with the mixed scores, though, maybe it's time to maybe they should take notes by expanding the game, but not just the character roster, but also needs to hire voice acting. So Nickelodeon and Game Mill and Bamtang Games decided to do a third sequel. While the second game was an improvement, it would. What next? Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway is essentially a bigger update. Is essentially a huge big update for Nickelodeon Kart Racers 1 and 2. Adding a much bigger character roster alongside with brand new racetracks, and also trying to expand the battle arena roster and more. So Slime Speedway includes a base roster of 40 playable racers from various Nicktoons, with the additional 2 characters available as downloadable content. Character cards can be customized using a variety of different card parts, each of which affects the card's gameplay statistics like speed or handling. With the expanded roster, we have newcomers like Camper Patrick, Camper SpongeBob, Powdered Toast Man, and Garfield. The latter of newer characters made their debut. During development, Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway was initially leaked by Best Buy in July 2022 before being formally announced later that day. A trailer for the game was released on September 12, 2022. Unlike previous kart racer games, Slime Speedway features full English voice acting for all the game's characters. This would excluding JoJo Siwa, as Siwa is busy with things on her own, or the fact that paying JoJo Siwa to do the voice acting may be expensive. Slime Speedway marked Janet Varing's final performance as Korra, choosing to retire from the role shortly thereafter to allow an actress of color to take her place. The game was originally announced to be released on October 7th, but was delayed to the 14th. Players can also purchase the Turbo Pack, downloadable DLC, separately or packaged with the Turbo edition of the game. The pack includes 2 additional playable characters, Zuko and Eastman and Lloyd Raphael, along with additional crew characters and vehicle parts. Now instead of using the now for Bamtan Games, instead of using the vector engine for the 3rd installment, they completely ditched the vector engine and they switched to Unreal Engine 4 instead. Meaning Bamtan Games had dipped their foot into the Unreal Engine 4 market. Since other games were being produced in Unreal Engine 4, like City Patrol Police, Hot Wheels Unleashed, and GTA The Trilogy, the Definitive Edition, Bamtan Games decided that they should move to Unreal Engine 4, and to the surprise, they did, and this plan was carried out. The graphics were improved, and the physics has been tweaked a little bit more here and there. Now, much of the characters are still there. However, some of the Nickelodeon characters, like Angelica Pickles and Tommy Pickles from Rugrats, were removed in the process. Yes. No one didn't understand why they had to eliminate some of the other characters from Earth. Maybe it's due to because of the voice acting. That's my only guess. Or the fact that they want to make room for other characters that they did not make their way into the game. Maybe so. Kart Racers 3 builds on the gameplay established in previous series entries. Players must race around a track and attempt to come in first place, using power-up items scattered on the track to hinder opponents, or techniques such as drifting and mid-air tricks to gain speed. As the original Nickelodeon Kart Racer vehicles will transform into watercrafts at predominant points in the race to continue progressing through the track. The pit crew system from Kart Racers 2 Grand Prix returns, which allows players to equip special characters before each race. That grants them active and passive abilities. These abilities can be activated once the player fills a meter by driving through a significant amount of slime on the track. Up to 90 pit crew characters can be unlocked in Slime Speedway. All core gameplay modes from the previous game return, such as Slime Scramble, also known as Grand Prix, Free Race, Time Trial, Challenges, and Arena Battle modes. Slime Speedway would Slime and interestingly enough, Slime Speedway will not only have karts, characters will now ride on bikes. Now, so that means Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway is now imitating the style of Mario Kart Wii, and which meant that Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway is now a Nickelodeon version of Mario Kart Wii that it was going for. Meaning, but what about the ATVs? Nope. Sadly, maybe next time in a potential sequel, maybe Nickelodeon and Game Mill and Bantam Games would approach back to each other and see if there's a potential fourth installment to the Kart Racer series. But we'll just have to know. We'll just have to see what would happen next, though. And new racers, pit crew, and vehicle parts can be unlocked by winning cups in Slime Scramble, completing challenges, or purchasing them with slime tokens at the in-game garage. Slime Speedway supports up to 4-player local split-screen multiplayer and online multiplayer for up to 12 players. I'm actually very glad that I actually bought Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3 because I feel like it has a better character roster than the previous games. Now before Kart Racers 3, I bought Nickelodeon Kart Racers 2 on my PC. That was before. I bought a Game Mill published game on Steam. I didn't know that Nickelodeon had a kart racing game, but they did before, and it flopped. But all matters which is very nice that how Nickelodeon decided to try the kart racing genre again, and this time they expanded the character roster with Bantam Games. However, the sequel still received mixed scores. Shack News appreciated the number of characters, tracks, and modes, but ultimately calling it as average of a kart racer as it gets. Nintendo Life praised the character roster, customization, and the addition of voice acting. However, they criticized the performance on the Switch version, saying that it runs with a severely reduced frame rate compared to its predecessor, making everything feel more sluggish as a result. Well, honestly, due to the hardware limitations of the Nintendo Switch, due to the hardware limitations of the Switch, it makes sense because it's running at a horrible 30 FPS. Right now in the end, I feel I'm still saying that the main console versions of Kart Racers 3 Slime Speedway on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox platforms feel much better compared to the Switch. Though but then again, I need the game so I could bring my Switch for on-the-go entertainment. For item power-ups seen in Nick Kart Racers, just like Hot Wheels beat that, much of the power-ups in Nick Kart Racers imitate the same style trajectory as of Mario Kart's power-ups. The jellyfish plays the spiny shell. The boomerang plays the role as the boomerang flower in Mario Kart 8. Gnomes are banana peels. Ranged weapons like the toy balls and toy footballs work like green shells and red shells. The drop in the watermelon power up plays in the role of the lightning bolt power up, which is kind of weird if you ask me. And there's also some little karting challenges. Do not crash. Grab some tokens and dropping the pins. For dropping the pins is actually my favorite type of item power up mini cart challenge that I've ever seen. You have to drop a number specific of the pins, and then after that the pins will disappear, and that means everybody will get pinned in the process, giving you a slight advantage. In all honesty, Nick Kart Racers 3 is actually my favorite kart racer next to the Mario Kart series. In the case of kart racers though, I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry about other racing games like Need for Speed, Hot Wheels, or Burnout, to name the point. I'm just glad I just entered into the Nick kart racing genre though. Oh, and besides that, Nickelodeon Kart Racers has pretty memorable characters and more. But with this, I'm just wondering, will there be potential sequels though? I don't believe so, but it's up to Game Mail to see. But it's up to Game Mail to see if they could cook up another sequel, a fourth installment to the Nickelodeon Kart Racers series, as the fourth entry. Well, I'm sure things were about to change with the ninth installment of Mario Kart, which is still in development or not. In conclusion, while Nickelodeon Kart Racers is not very perfect and is not a good game for everyone and for everyone's opinions, but they had some potential, and for Game Mail Entertainment, they do bring some potential in them. Although 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 we do although Game Mail really although Game Mail might be the next THQ that we have to rely on THQ or not like THQ. With THQ gone, I'm really giving some hope that Game Mail would actually bring some licensed video games to the table. And I think everyone is wrong about Game Mail Entertainment. Yes, they might not be a good publisher, but I do see them having some potential in them. Yes, some potential. I mean, they did release out DreamWorks All Star Kart Racing, and I actually bought it for my PlayStation 5 hardware, and I actually like how the DreamWorks characters interact with one another, and with that style of trash talking and more from the DreamWorks characters, I'm just giving some hope that if Game Mill gets the Nickelodeon license again, maybe the sentiment will be brought on into the Nickelodeon characters. We'll just have to see if the voice actors for the Nickelodeon characters will see if they can keep this up. Although this makes me kind of wonder though. Why don't anyone give give Game Mail a chance to succeed, though. But the problem is, well, the backlashes and more, and the negative criticisms, like how on whatever reason why. First glance, I really hope Game Mail would, like, try to bring some a potential Hot Wheels game if Mattel actually teams up with Game Mail again. I mean I mean I don't know. I don't know. I understand the idea why Mattel went to Game Mail and not Milestone again is because Mattel said that Milestone is too good for them. But but honestly, I don't know what's the big deal. I don't know what's the big deal. I mean, we just gotta know what would happen next. Who knows? Maybe Game Mail might bring a potential Hot Wheels racing game with kart style power ups. Something that was not seen in Hot Wheels Unleashed. True physical car combat like the lateral dashing and more is a fun. But honestly, in my personal honesty, it felt kind of very boring. And also just feels very dull. Unleashed 2 did bring us some two things that a kart racer really needed. It simplified driving mechanics like Mario Kart style drifting with and the controls, unusual track designs with Hot Wheels track pieces. They were missing one thing: vehicular combat, meaning there are no Hot Wheels themed power ups in the game. That's the main problem. That's the main problem. Honestly, this all has something to do with the fact that it stems back to the same problem that Hot Wheels Beat That had suffered. There various issues, and no one was really open to this style of vehicular combat at all. But Mattel really needs to face some points. It's not 2007 anymore, and also we all moved on to the Hot Wheels Beat That problems and more. I mean, hello. Oh, maybe if Mattel actually come to their senses, maybe the power ups in Hot Wheels game might be potential. Maybe they might come to their senses and see if they can bring the style of the Hot Wheels Beat That fame back. Maybe they could try that if they find the developer and publisher to do it. But however, even if Mattel and the publisher and developer makes a Hot Wheels weaponized car combat game, it really needs to have simplistic controls that a kart racer needs to have, unusual track designs, like, use Hot Wheels playsets and traps and trap modules. They could keep the anti-gravity thing and vehicular combat into the mix. Meaning you will have simplistic track designs, memorable cars, over the top track designs, and unrealistic weapons. But we'll just have to see what would happen later on. What happen? Probably not. But we'll see. What will happen next. In the end, as with Nickelodeon Kart Racers 3, I still find enjoyment into the game. But I do recommend you guys playing it if you're a fan of Nickelodeon cartoons, especially if you grew up with certain Nickelodeon cartoons that you guys watch, like Hey Arnold, Cat Dog, and even Rugrats. Thank you guys all for watching, and until next time, stay tuned.